Hello fellow Magic Bunnies, my name's Gary Scott. And welcome to the Magic Bunny Library and my book review. Today in the book chair. We travel back in time to early 20th century magic, to the release of Expert Cigarette Magic by D.Deveen. First published in 1932, this book is regarded as one of the premier publications on cigarette manipulation. So a little something about the author. D.Deveen, or more commonly known as D.Deveen, that's really devil, or D.Deveen, was born on the 24th of April 1900, London, England, and died in August 1989. The mystery of D.Deveen as a magician has lasted for more than 80 years. Yet I have recently discovered a rare picture. The marriage at All Saints Church between a Mr. D.Deveen, that's really devil, and Miss Dodo Giles on the 19th of April 1933. The 1930s were a strange time as many people were fighting unemployment and poverty due to the Great Depression. Pre-World War II entertainment was dominated by music hall in the UK and vaudeville in the USA. Slowly but surely, this kind of entertainment felt the strain of the worldwide financial crisis, yet magicians remained as popular as ever. D.Deveen can be found on many promotional and marketing posters during this time. Some were even written as Deveen and his New York Blondes. Yet through all of this, we still have very little information. We know he headlined many theatre shows and was an accomplished manipulator. He's also infamous amongst magicians for authoring work on cigarette magic. Although only a few publications appear with the name Deveen, there have been several name alternatives along the way. His first publication in 1929 came under the title Cigarette Magic and Manipulation, and this was under the name D.Deveen. That's really devil. And this was followed in 1932 by the book we are reviewing today, Expert Cigarette Magic, and this was under the name D.Deveen. Today we are looking at the second edition from 1934. The study of this book couldn't be easier, with numerous photos for each and every slide, with clearly written text that is easy to understand considering the age of the material. The book itself is only 59 numbered pages, plus a few extra for old Davenport's advertising. Due to its size, I don't think my usual magical trip to the book chair is that relevant. Let's take a more formal look at this ingenious guide to cigarette manipulation. Published in 1934 by Edward Bagshaw & Co., this edition includes publisher notes, a foreword by Oswald Williams, and an introduction from the author. Part 1 is dedicated to unlit cigarette manipulation and begins with an explanation of the groundwork of cigarette magic. This is followed by the opening chapter on envanishments and contains some of Deveen's favourite sleights, including the Perfection Vanish, the DD Thumb Slide Vanish, the Instantaneous Vanish, and the Definite Vanish. Here we can see the high quality of the photographic instruction and the concise text instruction to complete the study. The equipment section concentrates on 5 different ways of showing your hands empty, with the DD Thumb Palm Front equipment being one move that should please a few hardcore enthusiasts. I'll show you that later. The Productions chapter provides for structuring a complete routine that includes producing multiple cigarettes and continuous cigarette productions. Part 2, dedicated to slights for working with lit cigarettes, has the same subheadings as Part 1, but has a bonus section dedicated to miscellaneous effects and fakes. The slights on offer here should not be disregarded for unlit cigarettes, as they work equally as well. They are designed for maximum safety, but the potential for burning is still apparent, and any manipulation with a lit cigarette should be done with due caution until fully mastered. Complete proficiency in cigarette magic can be taken further by adding a few ideas to your routine from the bonus section on miscellaneous effects and fakes. And so this book comes to a conclusion, with some advertisements from Davenport's past, when their address was 15 New Oxford Street and not Charing Cross Station. I will discuss the bonus section later on, but for now, let's go to my hot tips. So here are my hot tips for expert cigarette magic. Number 1. Other books for study. Scour the internet for works by Keith Clark, who wrote the Encyclopedia of Cigarette Tricks. Another source for study would be the Tarbell Course in Magic. In the original course, Chapter 33 is dedicated to all things cigarette. And this is how I got my first exposure to this most fascinating genre of magic. There are a few reasons why using a real cigarette is not that great an idea. In comparison, a fake cigarette offers more possibilities and less trouble in manipulation, and here's why. Number 2. The weight. Compared to these fake cigarettes, real cigarettes are much lighter and much more fragile. This difference means that the handling for real cigarettes is a much lighter touch, otherwise damage will occur. With the fakes, there is much more control, with better opportunities for palming and holding out. They can also be customised to your hand size, which I'll get into later on. Number 3. The smell. As a non-smoker myself, I don't find the smell of cigarettes or the smoke they produce very enticing. I have tried to manipulate real cigarettes in the past, only to find that the smell that they produce on the fingertips not too dissimilar to a dirty ashtray. I think I'll pass. And this brings me to the social aspect. Smoking unto itself is no longer deemed an acceptable social pastime, with many public places banning smoke and smokers. So, are there any advantages to doing cigarette manipulation? There's one huge bonus, and it's a biggie. These funny little sticks are one of the most recognisable novelties on the face of the planet Earth. Whether seen close up or in between the fingers from a distance, everybody knows what you're holding. A lot can be said about human ingenuity when it comes to making something so insignificant, so recognisable. I always wondered what it must have been like for the magicians of the golden era of magic to live in an age when they were the most respected entertainers in the world. Imagine being in a time when video games, mobile phones, TV and computers don't exist. Imagine you're living in a world where you're forced to work at your vocation to the point of excellence without distraction. The manipulators of this time absolutely excelled at their craft, and with this book, you'll have the opportunity too. Pick up this book and learn a few of the pieces inside and excel. This is Gary Scott, finally closing the book on expert cigarette magic. and welcome to this bonus section in relation to miscellaneous effects and fakes from page 56, and my thoughts on a few of the gimmicks that are available for cigarette manipulation. And I'll also discuss how to execute a few of the sleights from this book. For example, this is the D.D. Thumb Slide Vanish and Reproduction. And this is the Subtle Vanish. What else can I show you? Ah yes, produce a cigarette and I can show you this. This is a one-handed vanish. Plus this is the thumb palm front equipment. So here are a few tools of the trade to help you create a routine. You may remember that during the review I mentioned these fake cigarettes were customizable to your hand size. As my hands are slightly smaller than average, I have the fake ash contracted inside the tobacco tube, shortening the cigarette. Even though the ash is inside, it still looks lit. Now I can hold the cigarette out in the common Tenkaichi position. For the reduction, all you have to do is hold the cigarette at the ash end in between your finger and thumb and roll it around until the glue breaks. Now you can push the ash cleanly inside. For more normal or larger hands, customizing these kind of cigarettes is not usually required. I'd like to discuss some of the finite details in relation to some of the sleights in the book. You may remember this one-handed vanish and reproduction. Well, this is accomplished using a thumb palm, and the thumb palm with the cigarette is very easy to learn. All you have to do is hold the cigarette in what I call the regular smoking position. Now for my hand size, I have to hold the cigarette near the ash end. Some of you may be able to hold the cigarette elsewhere, and I'll never be able to hold the cigarette near the filter end because it's too short. You can't grip the cigarette where it needs to be. So in my position, the thumb palm is accomplished like this. All you have to do is curl your fingers in, grip the cigarette in the thumb crotch and extend your fingers. Lo and behold, thumb palm. And for the reproduction, it's exactly the same but in reverse. All you have to do is curl your fingers in, re-grip the cigarette, let go of the thumb crotch and extend your fingers. And there you are. Just a quick tip that is also highlighted in the book. The diameter of a cigarette is the same as an orange. So you need to be as careful palming a cigarette as you do with any object that requires angle sensitivity. If the cigarette is too perpendicular in thumb palm, it may flash. Be careful. Watch your angles. Don't get too comfortable just because of its size. The best practice is to just do it over and over and over again. If you don't smoke, take a similar sized object and take it with you everywhere in your daily life. Remember, only perfect practice makes perfect. Although I'm not going to reveal every single nuance and detail about every single sleight that I mention, one of my favourite cigarette manipulations is the thumb slide vanish, which you've already seen. Revealed on page 20, the technique is revealed in the name and uses a sliding action to conceal the cigarette behind the thumb. To help the illusion, grip the cigarette just above the filter. As you can see, the illusion is not that effective when the filter is exposed. Hiding the filter is also suitable for other sliding vanishes, and it's up to you to discover these for yourself in this wonderful book. And so on with a few of the gimmicks. This is a cigarette clip, and it inserts into the filter end of a real or fake cigarette. Make sure when you're using a fake cigarette that you use a small piece of rubber cement or any other kind of solid glue to give it a good connection. Then take a top hat or any other kind of receptacle and produce cigarettes one by one. Extension of the fingers inside the top hat retracts the cigarette behind the middle finger. Make sure you do this at the rim of the hat while your hand is still showing to make it seem like you are dropping the cigarettes inside. And the constant reproductions are accomplished by quickly closing the fingers into a fist and placing your thumb over the end of the clip to cover its presence. Wear the clip closer to the nail cuticle rather than the end of the finger, so it does not stick out over the end of the nail, like this. Try and keep the hand in slight motion, and the clip will blend in with the hand due to its colour. This is a cigarette pull. Let me show you how to use it. Today I'm using my cigarette pull in conjunction with a set of tails to show you exactly what's going on. The cigarette pull is here, connected via a piece of elastic that runs all the way through my belt loops to the connecting safety pin that's here. The cigarette pull itself retracts and stops itself on the belt loop and is used in much the same way as a thumb tip. It can be stolen instantaneously, and a lit or unlit cigarette can be put inside, and of course everything vanishes, but it's only retracted to here. Using a long sports jacket or sports coat will ultimately cover the gimmick, as all it's doing is simply retracting. And here we are at the end of another review. Maybe by exposing you to a few of the gimmicks that are available for cigarette manipulation, I've aroused your interest a little in this wonderful book. Perhaps you'll learn a few of the pieces inside. You might even create a routine, and who knows where that will take you. So until next time, this is Gary Scott saying, see you again in the book chair.